We're here with Tara Brach, a leading mindfulness teacher, psychologist, and author of True Refuge and Radical Acceptance. Tara, tell us a little bit about what you're up to with your teaching nowadays.
Thanks, Jim, and it's good to be with you. The main teaching I'm doing, I teach an every week Wednesday night class here in the Washington area, and it gets podcasted and goes way out there. So that's kind of a center, a fulcrum for things. But I'm also continuing to teach several longer retreats each year, and an online course called The Power of Awareness that Jack Kornfield and I have put together is out there now. That is a really, it's a kind of potent secular training in mindfulness that is spiritual, that goes into relationships, that deals with trauma. So it's a really good training. So working on that. But one of the areas I'm most passionate about is we've been doing a lot of work on anti-racism work, bringing mindfulness to racism. And I spent a year as part of a White Awake group that really looked at our own implicit bias, and was part of a conference called Beloved Community that brought our community together to look at these issues, and was part of a week-long retreat with a real diverse team of teachers and a very diverse group of yogis. And so that was a very alive part of the last year for me. One other thing to mention is I've been teaching loving relationship workshops and traveling around the country doing them, and they're really gratifying. I really enjoy those.
That's a wonderful mix and very important work when you talk about the unconscious bias work. Tell us a little bit more about what's emerging for you in 2016. What will you be doing in the coming year? And also, at the same time, if you feel there's some main themes emerging in the field in 2016 that you'd like our audience to hear about, please share those with us.
Well, one is a continuing and deepening in the racism work. We've got coming up, we're trying to organize a kind of national hub that can be a resource for people that want to go deeper into that work with their own communities and really serving as allies and collaborating in the larger community. So that's one area. And I mentioned that Jack Kornfield and I have put together this online course, Power of Awareness. Well, this year we're working on an online teacher training that will be available in 2017 for those that want to be teaching mindfulness. We're thinking of it as really the gold standard training because it teaches on how to teach and again deal with issues that include social change and include inner transformation, relationships, and so on. So we're excited about that one. And just this spring, I have an online course coming out called Cultivating a Fearless Heart, and really working on how do we bring mindfulness and compassion to the fears that contract our life. So that's another element that's up and coming. And I would say one of the things in the fall that I'm excited about is our meditation community here. The Insight Meditation Community of Washington is going to be a primary sponsor for a mindfulness retreat for police to really look at what is going on in terms of bias and violence and how to let mindfulness be a healer, with the bigger understanding being that mindfulness evolves our consciousness and therefore is probably the single major influencer of social change. And on that same theme, we're talking about collaborating with some other environmental groups and meditation groups on hosting an event that looks at the impact of the meat industry on climate. In other words, how to move away from a meat-based diet. So I would say the emerging issues that in my heart are really, really big is that how does mindfulness serve social change? And how do we bring mindfulness training more into conflict resolution and anti-racism work in the schools? We've been working in Washington with the schools. We have probably about 5,000 students and 3,000 parents that have gone through programs with one of the groups I advise called MINDS, which is Mindfulness in DC Schools. And this spring, a project I'm really excited about, we're bringing the trainings into Eastern High School, which is a underserved school. In the inner city, it's 99% African American. And we're going to be teaching mindfulness. Not only will there be a training for the students, but also for the staff, the admin, for the teachers, and the parents. So it's a way to bring a kind of cultural change that's really healing to the whole community. So I would say in a big way, this feels to me as emergent in our culture, that mindfulness not just be something that helps our own hearts and minds awaken, but really serve the larger community in these ways.
How can mindfulness help support all of that important work? Or how can what we do at Mindful support all that important work?
You already are. And I'd say the articles and interviews that let people know about what's going on is really, really valuable. And I was, when I think about the categories you have, and I think it's living, then there's meditation, and then there's work, I would add explicitly the category of social transformation and really bring alive in secular thinking the archetype of what the Buddhists call the bodhisattva, which is that this is the emerging human potential that we think not just in terms of me and mine, but really in a collective way, that our lives are really dedicated to the healing of the planet. And so I feel like you're already doing it, Jim. It's mindful is an amazing part of what's evolving in our culture. So I offer a deep bow to that, and to continue in that direction. Also, however possible, affiliating with those nonprofits that are, mindfulness based and are working towards social change, letting people know of their work, encouraging volunteers and donations. It's happening, and it's great. I feel like we're holding hands, a lot of us, in walking forward. And so it's really inviting the larger community into that.
Tara, thank you so much.